Hey, we have a great video here. We want to do something simple, but we want to see 3 different ways to do it. Here's our data set, and check this out. We have sales rep, and there's a huge data set, control down arrow. So it's like 10,000 records, and there's lots of repeats here. We need to get region for each one of these sales rep from using Vlookup in this cell right here from this table. So this table, control down arrow, has 73 records because we have 73 sales reps. And some of them sell in the Midwest, some of them sell in the West and East. So we need to populate, boom, this column here with region doing a Vlookup. 3 different ways we can do this. Now, the first way we're going to do sheet references, and then we'll learn how to use define names and even the table feature. All right, so Vlookup. We say, hey, what's our lookup value? We need to look up sales rep, and that's a relative cell reference as we copy down, comma, and here's the problem. The table is on the other sheet, but no problem. We're used to highlighting a table here and hitting F4, right? But how do we do that? Click, right? Because it's a cell on this sheet here. I'm going to delete that. Click, delete. All we have to do to get the cells on a different sheet is first click the sheet you want. So now SR. Now we can see up in the formula bar, the formula is starting to emerge. The sheet name is in single apostrophes. And then we have an exclamation point. That exclamation point says, hey, this is a sheet reference. That means that word is OK in a formula. It's not a function name or a define name. It's a sheet reference. Now we simply highlight the table. Now sometimes people are tempted to go like this. I kind of stay away from that. There's a lot of cells in there that I'm unnecessarily highlighting. I'm going to click in the top cell. Notice it says A2. Or actually not the top cell, A2 and B2, and use the keyboard Control Shift down arrow. Now that sends it all the way down, but notice up in the formula bar it's still relative, so now I hit F4. Now I'm going to come up and finish this formula because I'm actually on the sheet right here. What we don't want to do is click back on the other sheet if you're doing a sheet reference. I'm going to click up here, notice table array. The screen tip tells us, comma, column index is 2 because I want to take the region from here. And then comma, I'm using 0 for exact match. Now, this table actually is sorted, but just to be sure in case it gets unsorted, I'm going to put exact match. And now I can hit Enter. And just like that, if I come back here and hit F2, there's that beautiful sheet reference. All right, Control Enter, double click and send it down. Control down arrow to go to the bottom, and sure enough, it worked all the way down. Control Home to jump back to cell A1. Now another way we could do this, and I'm going to copy actually both of these, Control C, Control V, and delete, is we can go over to the table on the SR data sheet, Control Home, Control asterisk on the number pad to highlight this whole table. Go up to the name box. Highlight. Right now it says A1, and I'm going to type sales rep table. Enter. So now I'm going to click off to the side and verify by using my drop down. Boop. So now I'm going to scroll down, and I can already see I made a mistake. Scroll up. You see how I included the field names? I don't really want those field names. So we can go learn on the formula ribbon, name manager. Sometimes you need to edit this. Notice there's a keyboard Control F3. So I'm going to click there and edit. I only want A2, so I'm going to just edit this right here. Change that to. I could have deleted it and started over, but now I'm going to verify. Click OK. And watch this. I'm going to verify by clicking this collapse button. And sure enough, it looks like it got the right range. Uncollapse, click close. Now I can come over to the first sheet. Equals Vlookup. Hey, there's the sales rep. Why don't I scroll over here and give us a little bit more room? Comma. And we can type if we know the name. And look at that, it came right up in the drop-down filled with functions and dog tag for defined names. Once I highlight it, I can simply hit Tab. If you don't remember at all what it is, hit the F3 key. There's also up in the formula ribbon, because formulas have the defined names, you can say using formula. But I'm going to remember F3, and there it will give me a list of all of them. Double click it, and I insert it. Comma 2, comma 0, close parentheses. And there, Control Enter. That just puts the thing in the cell and keeps the cell selected, and then double click and send it down. That is totally cool. Now, there's a third way we can do this. Let's go over. I'm going to do the table formula. Come over to this sheet SR table, and we want to convert this to a table. When we convert it to a table, it does all sorts of amazing things, including giving us table formula nomenclature. You either go up to Insert, Table, or use the keyboard Control T. Now you have to have field names at the top, records and rows, which we do here. Technically you don't, but it'll put columns. So this trick is going to work when you have a proper data set. I'm going to click OK. Now we want to immediately come up to Table Tools, Design, come over to Properties, and we want to give this table a name. I'm going to call it Sales Rep Region Table. Actually, just without the table. So Sales Rep Region, Enter. Now the table feature has drop downs for sorting and filtering. It's pretty amazing, and it does. If you add records, Control down arrow. If you add records to the bottom, this table will update, and that Vlookup will update also. Control Home. But now we want to learn about table formula nomenclature. Let's come over to the sheet 107TF, and let's just build our Vlookup. All right, so I'm going to click on lookup value, comma, and now I'm going to start typing sales, and we immediately can see now 3 different icons. Function, dog tag, that means define name, and there's that table. Now, that won't work. That's the whole table. You have to type a square bracket to get a drop down. This is table formula nomenclature, also known as structured references. Now we can refer to fields, which we don't want here. We want the whole table. So I'm going to say data. Data is the whole table. And we might go prove that to ourselves in just a moment. I'm going to close parentheses, and that is referring to that other table on the other sheet. Sometimes people like it because you can refer, as long as you know the table name, you can get any one of the columns or the headers or the data you want from any other sheet by typing it out, and then a square bracket. Comma 2 for Vlookup, that means the second column has the thing we want to return, in comma false or 0. I'm using a 0 for false, exact match. Control Enter, double click and send it down. That is totally cool. Now let's come over here and let's prove that to ourselves. Equals sales, and we see this. I'm going to hit tab and square bracket, down arrow, tab, close square bracket. And now you can see the blue outline, that data option gets the inside of the table. Now the nice thing, of course, about the table is if we were to add any new records, yin fam, and yin fam is in the west. Now that would totally be picked up on this other sheet. And change this to yin fam. Boom. Oh, I picked her as the west. That didn't prove it. Let's put the south. And come over here. Boop, and there it is. So that table formula nomenclature is pretty cool. All right, so we saw table formula nomenclatures. Back over here, we saw define names, and we saw sheet references, all for having Vlookup look to another sheet for a table. All right, we'll see you next trick.